good, bad, and the ugly. Right. So I had to figure out a topic. I had to figure out a topic to discuss with you, but I had to figure out a title, and it just came to me. It just came to me, one moment when I was doing something, because I'm always doing something, or many somethings. And I just said, okay, how am I going to make this a topic that will stimulate, will educate, will have you thinking about how your world has been turning and has been churning and radiating. And so I said, all right, I have to figure, let me give you the good news, but I can't give you just the good news. I have to give you the bad news, and I have to give you the ugly news. So what's the difference between bad and ugly? I'll show you. I'll tell you. But this, this inspiration and for this topic for me was something that has come and has been evolving as I have been moving through the world of technology with you and all the rest of the world. It is right now a topic, a discussion that has moved me quite a bit, because I've learned so much about technology in the past few years. And in the past few years, there has been an explosion of technology, in case you didn't notice. Number one, I would like you all to either put your phone in airplane mode or shut it off completely, because I know every one of you, maybe that little baby there is the only one who does not have a phone in this room. So this is an important topic of discussion, because it is impacting every single life. Every single life, every single blade of grass, every single organism. Everything is being impacted by technology. And the technology of the wireless world is the most impactful that we've ever had in our lives. Now, we have wireless, and wireless as a word is quite broad. I mean, there are many things that are wireless. But in terms of communication, I want to just get to the communication aspect and give a little history behind communication. Some of our earliest forms of communication, aside from grunting and touching and moving and body language, were things like drum beats. Drum beats, right? Whether it was the Native American Indians or any other tribe or anyone in the world who was using drumming as a sign, as a signal, as a means of communication. The number of drum beats meant something. Or there were smoke signals, right? Smoke at a certain color, whether it was red or black, it meant something. The signals, the fires that were set, and so on. There's all different mechanisms of giving signals, transmitting, communicating, right? We have the horse and carriage to transmit and communicate between here and another city or town. The dove, which was led to flight to do what it had to do to transmit a message or to deliver a medicine, to save someone, so on. So these were some of the earliest. And then in the 1800s, we had something called the semaphore, which was a device, a contraption that was in the Napoleonic era, which allowed for messages to be sent across regions so that people can communicate with one another. So these were devices that were made with planks and rods and pulleys and so forth, and letters were spelled out to give a message of someone's birth. Someone famous had a baby, say Napoleon. Or something else was happening. we're getting ready for war. Did you ever stop to think about these things, how these messages were transmitted, right? So these things were our earliest forms of communication outside of this kind of communication that would go at a distance, that would be moving through regions, across lands, and then countries and so on. And then we get into the era of the telegraph. We go to the telegraph, which then was another innovation, and was something that we were, almost like needing, so that you had wires that were being laid and sound could be transmitted through wires. We had the Morse code, which also came about from Samuel Morse, who had a system of sending messages through dots and dashes, and many of you may who know this, who are in the service, they were using the Morse code to transmit messages about enemy and about this and about that. So all of that was fine, but it was always not enough, and it was just not fast enough. It was not, that we can transmit so many messages at once. We can only do little at a time, little at a time. So now we have, fast forward to the last century into this century, we develop these faster systems of communication. It goes to the phone, it goes to the fax, it goes to the internet. And now we have the Internet of Things, and we have all of that, artificial intelligence and so forth. But what of all this? What have we done in making such powerful systems happen? Because the powerful systems that have come into this life, into our life, have been impacting our lives positively and negatively. And that's what I want to go over today with you. And I want to raise your awareness. I want to raise your consciousness about this, because when I talk about this to, say, a patient or a friend or something, they're generally not tuned in. They're disconnected. They're connected to some device, but they're disconnected from what I'm saying. And what I'm saying to them is, you're disconnected from life when you have a device in your hand that you have no idea its power, what it's doing to you. You're transmitting your messages, you're making your phone calls, you're texting whomever, and you're having all kinds of chats and group speeches and whatever. You're buying things, you're playing games, but do you know what you're really doing with that device? Do you have any idea? Most people say no. And so that, to me, is a problem. How is it that we can be holding a device that we have no idea what it's doing to us? And this question I raised years ago, as I saw that things were happening as they were developing these higher generation phones. And people were having symptoms. And then I got involved in a 5G summit that opened my mind like I had never, expected. And I said, wow, this is something that everyone needs to know, but apparently everyone doesn't know. Only a select few people, just like my husband and Macron G, and those who are involved in Sri Aurobindo and understand him. Only a select few people know this. They know about this higher consciousness, about this supramental stuff. Why is that? I don't have the answers. So I wanted to begin the slide, if you will, and show you a few nice pictures, because I want to start off with the good stuff. And I want you to be able to appreciate life, nature, remember it, remember all that we have. These are not our imagination. They're real. They're beautiful. They have touched our lives. They are our lives. We are part of this. When I see these deer, that are in my yard, in the woods, I get all excited. I really do. I just can't believe that they're even alive. and how the mother, how she licks her little babies. It's just beautiful. So there's something very beautiful that we have. We have all of this, the colors, the amazing skills of these little creatures, and we watch them with awe, and we just, love this in front of us. And we see that when we see that little face, or we see these people walking on the streets, and they have devices in their hands, and they're walking into a restaurant, or they're walking into the, into the field, or they're on the beach, or they're in their homes, or they're going into their office or school with these devices in their hands. There's something wrong with the picture here. There's something very, very wrong with the picture. So there's a beauty that we must not dismiss, forget, put aside. It's there. Don't forget it. Every blade of grass, every organism counts in this world. These devices are affecting everything, as I said. Every single organism, every biological is being affected. So we have this wonderful ability to communicate with each other now. We have this device. Isn't it handy? Isn't it, mobile? You can walk around with it. You can talk at any time you want. You can call any time of the day or night. You can wait for that person to get back to you. You can wait desperately for the next text message back to you, because you can't, you're just getting like crazy. Like, why aren't you answering me? Why aren't you answering me? This is a problem. Okay, this is a problem, as you'll see in a moment. So if you are on a phone and you have a headache, don't think that headache is coming from somewhere else. Most of the time, I'm seeing people come to me with really bad headaches, massive headaches, accompanied by brain fog, accompanied by ear ringing, accompanied by burning sensations in their hands and chest, and they're thinking they're having strokes, and they think they're having heart attacks. Well, they're about to. It's a precursor to. And some people do. If we can advance the slide, please. Okay, there are more pretty pictures. Keep that in mind. There's goodness. There's goodness, okay? Please, next slide. Okay. All these organisms have life in them, right? They're all living, biological. They have cells, they have neurons, they have transmission of the neurons and so forth. They have gonads, they procreate. They have endocrine systems that are giving them and us, like them, hormones that make them who they are, what they are, and let them function. So they're made up of a whole host of really wonderful biological chemicals. And the nervous system of these organisms is very, very important. It makes them tick, it makes them function, as it does human beings. Next slide. So I've come up with a nice little acronym that you can all remember as I get into this discussion further. CRAPS. Again, had to think of something that would be catchy, would grab your attention, okay? We think of cell phones, and again, it's all inclusive. Cell phones, anything that's wireless, anything that has no wires attached is a wireless device, right? So, we have cell phones, we have laptops, we have Bluetooth, I call them blue teeth. These AirPods, you have some other contraptions, you have something in the car, you have something in the office. They're all wireless devices and machinery and other contraptions. We even have them in the medical field. We have therapeutic devices that are wireless, okay? So not all of the wireless is so bad, but we have to be careful with everything that is wireless. Okay, so the convenience of these things, they're mobile, you can walk around with them, you can do whatever you want with them, generally anywhere you want, and so forth. So that is a number one. Next thing about these things, they are reliable, right? So anytime, it's like, old reliable. I have my little friend in my hand. Any time of the day or night, I have the ability to message, to communicate, so on. I just, boom, I want to look up something, I've got it. Reliability, oh, it's there. Next. So now we get into the ugly part of it. There's the addiction. So keep doing this, and what happens? We become addicted. Okay, it's like nicotine, because there is the dopaminergic receptors that we have in our brains, and that's been mentioned before by another doctor earlier. Dopamine is the pleasure neurochemical, a neurotransmitter that we all love. We all love to feel dopamine, and you don't even realize it, right? But your dopaminergic receptors are loving these things that keep coming into them, making you feel better and happy. It's also a pain site too. So don't forget the other side of the coin. But there's always a price to be paid for too much pleasure. So the addiction problem, it comes, and it doesn't go away. It doesn't go away easily. We could make it go away with enough prodding and enough, coaching and counseling. We can do it. Let's go on to P. The first P is the price. The price of these things, well, for some it may be affordable, but a lot of people it's not so affordable. So, everybody wants the higher iPhone 5, 6, whatever. Could be very pricey. And the price that we pay with our health is the other problem. Next. Okay, so the pressure comes on now. The pressure is on. Here we have this device, we have our reliability, we have all this stuff going on, we have the addiction happening, the price is happening, and it's tough on us. We've got to pay for this phone every month. It's getting pricey. And the pressure is on to continue using this stuff and keep going with this. Okay, so the addiction turns into more addiction, and the pressure is on for us to want more data, more speed, more everything, right? We never have enough. There's never enough. And the last P, well, actually there were 3 Ps, I guess, right? Pain. Pain is our third thing that again is really a problem. So the pain that comes with all of this then leads to my last letter, which would be the suffering. And when people suffer, it's not good. And I've seen a lot of this, and I've recognized it, and being able to recognize it as a clinician is very important when I see suffering coming from these devices, and I'm seeing a lot of it. So this is something that many clinicians are going to have to face. Whether they like it or not, they're going to have to face their own and then that of others. Would you just advance this? So now this is kind of like a summary of what I just said that you can take a look at. Let me just see if I left anything out there. And the suffering. Let's go right to the suffering. So here are the things that develop. The last 2 things basically kind of elucidate what happens to you when you're always on a device. So you have these rundown feelings, these headaches, tingling, numbness. If any of you feel these things, it's real. It's a real thing, and I'll tell you why. And then you have this loss of the touch, social touch. Remember, we just went through a very painful process over the past 2 years. Losing social touch, and then put on top of that is social distancing. That really makes sense. Okay? So there's all of this which happens. And then there's chronic pain, there's fatigue, insomnia, There's altered mentality, burning sensations. There's loss of taste or smell. Does that sound familiar? Breathing difficulties, high blood pressure, palpitations, cardiac, neurological, and endocrine conditions, and yes, cancer. All associated with something that we call technology. Just put it on to the next slide here. We have to wake up. Here's my other acronym. Please advance it. We have to be willing to face the reality here, that there is a source, an energy source that is artificial. It has nothing natural about it, and our bodies are not used to this. We did not evolve into beings that can suddenly take on quintillion the amount of energy from radiation as compared to 100 years ago. These numbers are astronomical. They're out of this world. We are dealing with humongous amounts of radiation that we have not evolved to be able to accept and to become acclimated to. Evolution was mentioned earlier by a doctor here, Dr. Paul. Okay? Evolution. And the evolution, we have to be able to withstand something over a long period of time, whether it's the skin, that changes with time and so forth, and different climates. We have not had so much radiation over this long period of time in the artificial realm. We have natural radiation. We have natural sun radiation. We have natural terrestrial radiation. And that is totally natural. And the resonance that is moving along with that is what we call the Schumann resonance. And that's where things are moving very, very relatively slowly, but gently at a 7.83 cycle per second rate. That's called the Schumann resonance. Things within our bodies and within the earth are just cycling very, very gently. Your cell phone is cycling and moving and pulsating at 2.4 on average gigahertz, which means 2.4 billion hertz. That hurts. That hurts. In case you don't know, there's a big difference between 7.83 and 2.4 billion. The reality is that we have been bombarded, we have been assaulted by a technology that we made. And it is not going away. It is not going away. But I'm going to come up with some answers. I know I have only limited time. So I'm going to get right to the rest of this. So if we have all of this to face, how do we make it better? It's time for us to start acting. And just by putting your phones into airplane mode, that's one of the easiest things you can do, is to make some changes in how you're using the device. Make the changes right away. Okay, next. Know that you can do this, that you've got to get it up here. You have to educate, right? Educate to find out how. Did you ever know that your phone has the section in it, and it's under legal, you have to go through all of your phone setting thing, and you have to go to legal to find out how far from your body you should have your phone, which would be a safe distance. They're talking 5 millimeters. 5 millimeters is hardly anything, hardly any distance, and that is so absolutely wrong. That's so wrong because we have the science to disprove that. When these phones were tested, in case you didn't know, the last and probably the only test that was done with the phone to see how safe it is for a human being was in 1979 with a dummy and gel in its head, and they put the phone next to it. And you know, at that point, it wasn't 5G, it was a 2G. And they just said, oh, there's a little thermal effect. And that was the end of testing from the FCC, telecom, all of that. They're all one. But that's where it ended. Now, that's how many years ago? 30, 40? We are looking at safety standards in which they decided the phone is safe from a generation that was going way back to the 1970s and 80s, and they just said, okay, we can just keep going. Let's just keep going, and let's make it more intense. Let's be able to do more. Let's put more capabilities on this phone, so let's just keep going with the technology. Let's just keep going and let it ride and go into 3G and 4G and pictures and videos and chat rooms and games and movies. You can now do everything on 5G. But at what cost? What's that price? Next. Okay, as I said, we have to educate ourselves. We have to know this, and we have to look at how it's affecting us in every aspect. Next. So, in all that, I'm helping you. I want you to take this and then take it further so you can know more about this, because I can't tell you in this short period of time about this. I've also added a chapter to my original book. It'll be on this very subject, and it'll be coming out soon. So this will be something to become more educated on, and it's all about preventing and protecting ourselves. Just check my next slide, please. Okay. So let me just tell you a little bit about what the current, or since 4G started up till now, what this means to your health, and then what you can do about it. The safety standards were set way back decades ago. All independent studying that has been done has been funded by independent science, different from and apart from this cell phone industry, apart from telecom. Because telecom did not do their due diligence. They did not protect us, okay? And it was just, boom. You just take it and have fun with it and keep going and going and going. And don't think about all the potential side effects, the possible side effects. When this whole wireless thing started with phone technology and then advanced, the concepts of that were really founded in radar. And it was radar from there on that we had the trouble start. So radar, which was used generally in military circumstances, and then thereafter in forecasts and weather and so on, meteorologists and so on, they started to use that because, again, they can pick up signals through by wireless means and through antenna. So radar was what started things off, and it was kind of like on the wrong foot, because from radar we went to radar ranges. And if anybody around here remembers the radar range, or remember that it was called the radar range, the radar range is actually a microwave oven. See, the marketing back then took this new oven type thing, this whole gadget that was going to be able to zap your food, and they found that women did not like the name radar. Radar range was just not fashionable. Didn't sound good. So they changed it to microwave. It sounded gentle. Micro. Right. Much more digestible and attractive and easier on the ears and eyes or whatever. So microwave came. And it is that spectrum of the energy spectrum, that element of the energy spectrum, that is the basis for your telephone capabilities. So you have microwave technology in your hands, in your pockets, and or up by your heads or whatever, on your laps. That is microwave technology, and it's what we call non-ionizing radiation. Non-ionizing radiation was not known to be a troublemaker. No, non-ionizing radiation should never bother you. Never bother your health. We only know ionizing radiation will hurt you. X-rays and gamma rays and too many sun rays, all right? There's, of course, too much of the sun is obviously not good. But there's that ionizing radiation which can alter the DNA of your body and the DNA of every biological system. The non-ionizing radiation can do the same thing, even though you were told no. Because now, because we have no studies coming out of industry that gave that validation that this non-ionizing radiation would also be harmful to you. But we have it from the independent science that has been done. Luckily, thankfully, we have thousands of reports and scientific data entries that confirm the damage that non-ionizing radiation can do to us. So, basically, bottom line is this. If you put the cell phone next to you, if it's put next to a beehive, if it's put on the grass, if it's put next to a dog, if it's put next to a tree, there's going to be damage. And it damages by the following. The pulsating ionizing radiation, non-ionizing radiation, the microwave radiation, is coming through the cell membrane, and it is affecting certain channels in the membrane called voltage-gated calcium channels. And when that enters the cell, when that channel is affected, calcium rushes in and disturbs the cells. And this is a process that, if kept going and going to all your 30 trillion cells in your body, it will be doing some damage. And the damages are what I was mentioning before. If we can go back to that slide for 1 minute. Go back, keep going. The damage is we have all the symptoms that develop because our nervous system, our hormone system, our heart, our cardiovascular system, everything is affected by these voltage-gated calcium channels that are being affected at virtually all the time that you have that phone, that live phone on next to you, or if you're in an atmosphere where there are multiple phones and multiple devices all together. And these are going to have a cumulative effect, these moments and on top of moments of use. So this is a very important concept. And again, it affects the plant life as well. The plants have their own system. It's very similar to ours. And when the plants or plant life is exposed, they will be affected as well. So the plants will die. They've done experiments with microwave technology, that is cell phone technology, right on top of plants, right on top of soils, versus none, and watching the lack of growth in these soils. So they've done that. They've put microwave technology on beehives, put the microwave technology on beehives, and watched how the bees left the hives and died. And these were reproducible over and again, over and again. So let's go back. Let's go to what we can do to make things better. We can install safe wire, fiber optic internet connections. We could start wiring everything or go back to wiring everything. And in our center here, we're trying to bring this out. It's very important that people be conscious and and using the wires. Again, this right now is a wireless thing I'm holding, but using wired systems to accomplish what we need. In the wired systems, there's far less, I mean far less, electromagnetic effect on the body, and you don't have such damage to the body. And you should have and ensure that there's access to wired internet for all, including our children in our schools. We want to encourage companies to develop safer technology. Our medical institutions, they are not exactly the safest places. And one of the biggest reasons is because of the wireless technology. And we need to support this, a wired internet inside homes and in public buildings. So if we go back to this, we go back to what we did most often was wires, and use them to the best of our ability to make sure that they're put in the right place, the right positions, however we have to do this. We have to support this. We have to support this. Because if we just keep holding these things in our hands or on our laps or anything around us or coming in contact, if we put them in our pockets, we are affecting our bodies. We're affecting our sperm, we're affecting our ovaries, we're affecting our breasts. And there are countless cases of the damage that we've seen in science, in medicine, where people have been affected by these devices. And I kid you not, it is a big issue. It is a big issue. Our children are being affected. That is probably the population that I'm worried about the most, because these kids are going into wireless classrooms. And, what is happening to them? They've done the studies. They've looked at how the brain is penetrated by these devices. You put a device by a child's head, that radiation goes right through. And it's affecting their brain, their nervous system, ultimately everything else, their hearts, their hormones. So we've got to wake up. We've got to wake up. Enough of this crap. We've got to get smarter with this. We've got to outsmart the smart system, okay? Because now, as far as everybody's concerned, everything can talk to you, everything can be set up and be in place for you. You can just talk to a device, it's going to get you this and that. Now, that's a problem. That device is giving off radiation all the time. All the time. So when you feel alone or you feel like you're the only one suffering, just keep this in mind. The whole world is suffering right now. The whole world is suffering because we have advanced our technology. We need to get smarter. Ladies and gentlemen, we need to get smarter and safer so that come the next few months, years, and so forth, there's no telling what can happen. And it's not going to be pretty if we don't get smarter. Thank you. All right, I welcome questions, absolutely. Please tell me what it is that you want to say. Yes?
Microwaves in the lunchroom. How far, thank you. If you're working in an office or you're around someone using a microwave, how far away do you need to be from an active microwave not to be receiving those damaging waves?
Yeah, number one, I would advise for the office to stop using a microwave. Okay, we just have to stop using this device. It's cause for concern because there's leakage from it, and if any of you know what an EMF device is, something that actually detects and picks up these electromagnetic fields, you can actually check in your home or your office what's coming out of there. If you're seeing that the device is indicating something's not right here, or that it's flashing in a danger zone, that shouldn't be there to begin with. So the distance, you need to be, many feet away. The farther away you are, the better. Distance here with any of these devices is your friend. So there's an inverse proportion. The farther away you are, the lower the chances of that being received by the body. And these 5G waves, the microwaves, are they're very short millimeter waves. The damage that they do, and again, I'm not talking about a microwave with 5G phone, there's a pulsatile action that's going on. And that's being transmitted from the cell tower to your phone, and then from your phone back to the cell tower. And if that phone's on you, you're getting that pulsatile act, that movement and that motion, which is bringing that radiation right into your vicinity here. So guys and gals, this is a very vulnerable area, very vulnerable area. So anybody with a pacemaker and all that, they've got to be careful with microwave ovens, and they shouldn't be anywhere near them. But at least I would say, stay at least 10 feet away from these things. More than 6 feet. Distance, social distance from the microwave. Yeah, so it's not a good instrument. Yes.
In hearing you, is this on? Okay. In hearing what you've said, a couple of concerns. Number one, whether you have a phone or not,
Yeah,
with the towers in place,
correct.
you're being inundated with these radiation
The radiation, that's right.
waves.
That's correct.
So is there any way really to protect yourself by not having a phone or by keeping the phone away from you? Because the waves that are coming into, whether you have a phone or not, the waves are there. They're not directional by, oh, there's a phone over there, and it steers to that phone. It's hitting your body no matter what.
Yes, you are being irradiated, and the further you are from that cell tower, the better. And what they have been planning on doing is putting them like half mile apart, every half mile. Not only that, the big cell towers, they're the small antenna that they've been also trying to put in the whole infrastructure because of these short waves that come with the 5G. So they want an antenna, like another relay before your phone, so that the message and the data is transmissible, easier, faster. But if you don't have a phone, yes, you have that radiation in the air. You should have an EMF meter to measure where you are and distance yourself. And if you live where they just put a tower up, this is where public needs to raise hell. If they put a tower down your block or on your block, you need to do something about that. Because it's happening everywhere, and nobody's saying anything. Well, some of us are saying things. Yeah, they're putting them on the poles, the light poles. They're camouflaging as well. Okay, so this is a problem, and if we allow it, it will continue. If nobody's stopping this, that's why we need your voices, we need your participation. Please get engaged. We tried to get a wired-in group together here, and it's like I need to have people come around to support where we can go to attorneys, and I've submitted to an attorney with our group. I've submitted a proposal, and I've heard nothing, crickets. They haven't even looked at what I sent, and I sent it and resent it from an attorney. What am I to do? Get another attorney?
And that's my other concern, is that there's so much money behind it.
Yes.
That your voice is not heard.
So that's why numbers count. You count. So if you would please, sir, and everyone here, think about what I'm presenting to you, so that, raising your awareness. It's important that you know this, because it's your life and your kids' life and their kids' life and so on. Will we even have kids beyond these kids and grandkids that we're seeing here? Are we all going to be extinct because of the artificial technology? The meter, This one I ordered it from Safe Living Technologies Incorporated, safelivingtechnologies.com. Okay? And I could show you what it is. I don't, do we have time? Am I okay? All right. Okay, so we're talking about the gigahertz realm. Gigahertz is billions of hertz. So it could be anywhere from, the 2 to 3 up to 10, 20, even higher gigahertz that's being emitted. I don't have all the numbers for every tower. I do have to do other things in my life. So I encourage people to find this out, know what's coming out of that tower, because if you go to the tower, go around it, just put this thing there and see how this thing starts to go up into the extremes, and the extremes are the red. Now, I'm standing here with a wireless device, so it's already on red. So I'm holding something that's not exactly safe, okay? Okay? So I think everyone should have an EMF meter. Invest in it. They cost $150. Some of them are a little more expensive. You want to get the Kia or the Lexus, they have all kinds. Yeah, so, yes. What does it do? Okay, so the pacemaker is an electronic device, and the electronics are going to be altered by the electronics or the electromagnetics of these devices, these cell phones, these microwaves and so forth, that the microwave is leaking. But again, your cell phone is like holding a microwave oven, all right? So if you put that and you put it in your pocket, like a lot of men do, they put the microwave in their pocket, the cell phone. So you put it in the pocket, and it affects the electronics of the pacer. And they have studied this, and it's already been out and published in Science. Okay? That's the way it is. And it will affect the electronics. So it can throw it off, and then you can have issues. You have issues now. Your pacemaker is not working, or it's been, interfered with, or there's static. Yeah. So you've got to be careful. Yeah, avoid the pacemaker, because the they interfere with each other.
I just had one question, Dr. Scunziano. You were talking before about iPad, the headphones.
Yes, yes.
And I know today, in this generation, a lot of people, they walk around with the cordless headphones
Yes.
for hours, and
Yes.
the iPods.
Yes.
That's basically not a good thing. They should go back to the wire kind, or?
Yes, ma'am. We have, from Safe Living, somebody just asked me about the EMF, where EMF meter. This is one company, okay? There are other companies, but if you go to ehtrust.org, if you remember that, environmentalhealthtrust.org, ehtrust.org, and I've been giving out that information at the center, in the blue building. I have the information for everyone. You can get more information on what companies where you can, you'll be able to purchase something for your, your connection to the phone with a, like a headphone type thing. They have headphones and earpieces that have, they have air tubes so that you don't have so much radiation or limited radiation coming to the head. So there are those devices that you can connect to your ears, and I have them myself, where there's they call it an air tube that takes away the metal aspect, because when you connect that to your ears with the wire, it's a metal, okay? And it goes right up and it transmits, so the radiation is transmitted. So there are safer earpieces. Those AirPods and all that stuff, which are all wireless, Bluetooth technology, again, you're talking about something that's penetrable, and it goes into the brain. For a child, much more of a problem. But adults are also affected, and people are not aware of this. It's like, oh, I got my AirPods. Oh, no problem, whatever. Does anybody have even a question? What is this doing to my brain? Okay. Yes. 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 You have to. Correct. So there are some that work. Again, you want to go to this website, ehtrust.org, preferably on a wired device. Get a desktop, get a plug, and do your work there. Okay. So some of these devices are effective, not all. It's just like anything else. You've got good supplements, you got not so good supplements that don't really work, have some other garbage in them, whatever. They don't really help you, right? So you've got to look at some of these things. Now we've carried stones and things like that. Stones have their own frequencies, and there are people wearing shungite, orgonite, a couple of things that we actually have here. Shungite actually comes from Russia. It's a powerful stone, and it's supposed to detract energy. We have something called a centropics bubble that that lady right over there against that wall sitting down, Carolyn, can tell you more about. She'll give you information on that, and I actually wear a bubble. And it gives off that Schumann resonance that I mentioned before, 7.83 hertz, to kind of offset the more powerful radiation around you. And a lot of people feel the difference once they use it. There's something called a harmony pendant. People are sleeping better, feeling better, less brain fog and all that. So there are a couple of things that do work. Not all of them do. Some people are wearing apparel. They have mesh that they wear, like underwear. They wear hats to cover and protect themselves against the radiation, because you just asked me. Yes, exactly. So you can look further at some of these supplies and accessories and other things that people wear. If you keep your phone in airplane mode, or you turn it off, you're going to stop the signal, the two-way signal. Okay, so don't hesitate when I say this. Don't hesitate. It is very important. And people just, they look at me like, how come I didn't know this? I'll go on the airplane, they tell me put in airplane mode. Well, that's not the only place, okay? And the reason why they tell you to put in airplane mode is because the signals are interfered with. Your navigation signals from an airplane cannot be interfered with, because your pilot won't know where the hell he's going. So we cannot interrupt those signals. And where they have recently, in the past year, they were putting certain towers near airports, there was interference in the navigation. I don't know if anybody had seen that on they were giving the news about, I think it was California. This interference in the signaling is a big problem, because these are powerful waves coming from phones, coming from towers, coming from the airplane. I mean, when they put the 5G, right. So that really changed the whole game. So this is my call out for everyone. We should not allow this to continue. It is continuing unchecked by so many people in so many places. There are countries that are doing something about it. This country, another story. China, Russia, the Russian people have pretty darn smart heads on their shoulders. They know the dangers. They know the dangers of microwave ovens. And either they ban them or they don't use them there. Cease and desist, that's right. So please note this, and we need to speak up. We need to start supporting those who will help us. We need voice. We need political power. We need something. Nobody's lobbying on our behalf or on their behalf, because they don't even know. So it's those of us who know need to bring it out to those who don't know, so that they can help us in the quest to really change this, this terrain of constant radiation that is not natural and is getting more unnatural by the day as they keep installing more and more and more. What happened to us just having a peaceful life where we can just listen to a radio with a little battery, put the radio next to us, listen to these type of things? What happened? If you put a cell phone with 5G next to your head in your bedroom or under your pillow, I'm sorry. This is unacceptable. And if you do it, stop. Take the phone out of your rooms, turn them off. There's no reason. Why can't you have a landline phone? Because it's not in style anymore? Because it's not, it's not mobile. You can't walk around with it. That's what it is. So the convenience, remember the word, CREPS. Convenience, reliability, we love all that. But there's the other part of the word that we need to also focus on too. Any more questions? I know I've gone way over time.
I just want to say that fast food is a good comparison. Convenience, reliability, and that's not good for you either.
The whole world is in need of change, and we have to be the changers and the movers. Dr. Makran has said this. We need to make it happen. There are some of us who've been given we've been given either the power, the impetus, the something to help be the changers and the movers. If we don't, I don't think we're going very far fast. I think we're going somewhere fast, which is not going to be in the right place. But we're not going to live in beautiful, harmony, peace, loving environments. Not at the rate we're going. Not at the rate we're going. This is so unhealthy. It is so unsafe. And our government and all that is not helping us. We need to have change. We need people who know how to change it. And it's going to take a lot of effort. Unfortunately, it's not going to be easy as the phone. This is a very sad story. So yeah, right. So I have a woman in a wheelchair, a 3-wheeled wheelchair, and in order for now she's got a convenience of the smart technology so that it rolls on its own and all that. Instead of having it operated with a battery, a regular battery, which would be much safer. She uses her watch and her cell phone and connects it all to the chair. And I'm looking at this saying, no. I've seen enough. I'm at a point where I don't even know what to say anymore, but I'm not going to stop talking. That's what I'm not going to do. I am not going to stop talking. Right, so I need about 3 hours, okay? All right, so, all right, I got to cut it off here. And then any questions, if you need my assistance, please contact us over here at the center in the blue building. Mary is my dear and wonderful assistant, and Diane, my other lovely, wonderful life coach, is right next to her. But contact Mary at the and make an appointment. But the phone, one word or two on the watch, it's the same thing as your phone. The only difference is that you're wearing it now all the time, and people are sleeping with it, and they're coming to me saying, why do I have palpitations? Why is my arm tingling? Why can I not think anymore? I can't remember what I was supposed to do today. There's a neurological change from these calcium channels that are being nastily bashed. They're being bashed. And we need to know this. You need to know this. You need to know this. So don't wear these watches. Don't support Apple and Microsoft. If you do, you're giving your money to a cause that is destroying humanity and all of life. You're going to see it. You're going to sleep with it. If you don't see it by now, well, I'm going to remind you, and I'll keep reminding you, because I'll have more of these talks as we go on. This is not my last. This is just one of many. But you must start waking up to this now, not in months from now. Now, make your changes today. And I say this with passion and ferocity, because I'm not kidding. I give a damn about all of us, about this environment. We have a beautiful environment, and people feel the difference when they come to this, because they usually are not on their phones, or they're closing them. Because by now, I've told enough people, don't put your phone on. There is no Wi-Fi in that blue building. That's a building where we do healing. And here, I'm using this system. I'd rather it all be wired, so next time you got to have a different thing going. But yeah, it has to be. It has to be understood like never before, because the telecom industry is moving faster than fast. And they won't hesitate to go to number 6, number 7, and whatever. And by that time, I don't think we're going to be alive anymore. I think we're all going to be wiped out. And that's not a good thought. So guys, thank you for listening to me for all this time.